The son of Silicon Valley's tech tycoon lost his memory and became obsessed with me. I played Ethan Hayes' love interest for 3 years, only to realize I'd developed real feelings. Just as I was about to tell him about my pregnancy, I overheard my former senior who bullied me say to him, "Ethan, thank you for pretending to lose your memory to teach Chloe Miller a lesson. You've pranked her 99 times now. I'll date you once you've pranked me 100 times. Only then did I realize Sophia Vance was Ethan Hayes' unattainable white moonlight, while I was just the clown he used to amuse Sophia Vance. Later, I died in a plane crash. Ethan Hayes scoured the wreckage like a madman, only to find a single ring engraved with the 100th prank, I bet you love me. They say Ethan knelt in the wreckage, crying until he went into shock and was hospitalized. When he woke up, he turned against everyone who participated in pranking me. And there I was, standing in the snowy winds of France, smiling as I burned the medical records. He faked amnesia to deceive my sincerity, so I faked death to teach him a lesson. Just a wall away, Sophia Vance's voice rose playfully. "Ethan, prank game level 96 cleared." Ethan Hayes' voice carried an unfamiliar edge. "Did Sophia find it amusing? Just getting even for you. Who told Chloe Miller to steal both your presidential scholarship and the game design championship?" Ethan's brother jeered. "Sophia, just 99 more times and Ethan can officially announce you as his girlfriend." All the blood in my body froze instantly. Honestly, Ethan really knows how to play games. Remember how he pretended to have amnesia to mess with Chloe Miller? The first time he made her search in the rain for that bracelet, then gave it to Sophia afterward, the look on her face. My nails dug into my palms. That rocket-shaped bracelet was the last keepsake my mother left me before she passed. Ethan said he'd lost it when we moved. That day I searched for 7 hours in the heavy rain, my fever raging at 104 degrees Fahrenheit. The most outrageous part was on her thesis defense day. Ethan lied to her saying he got beaten up in a bar while drunk. His brother laughed. Chloe rushed to the bar only to find no fight happened at all. I secretly filmed her begging her advisor while crying. I bit down hard on my lower lip. Back then I abandoned my half-year prepared thesis defense to find Ethan, and ended up having to delay my graduation. Sophia chuckled lightly, and that time when we folded her game design sketches, the ones she'd pulled 3 all-nighters to complete, into paper airplanes, she spent the whole evening picking them up with red-rimmed eyes, just like a stray dog. Ethan Hayes chimed in with a timely laugh. "So how are we going to mess with her this time? How about telling her Ethan's gone to the hospital and rushing her over, while we go party and leave her waiting like an idiot?" My phone buzzed instantly. It was Ethan Hayes. "City General Hospital emergency room. Come quickly." Afraid of being discovered, I hurried away. But 2 minutes later, Ethan withdrew the message, as if regretting tricking me. I pretended never to have received it from the start and cooperatively didn't reply. Truth be told, I had anticipated such things for a while now. When Ethan Hayes was showering, I accidentally discovered an encrypted album titled Game Progress on his phone. There are 96 videos in total, exactly matching the number of pranks I've endured. The password is Sophia's birthday, 12/24. He lied to me, claiming it was the day we first met. On this day last year, I waited for him in the snow for 3 hours on Christmas Eve. Yet he was at the Vance family's estate, placing a birthday crown on her head, and didn't come to me until late at night. Ethan Hayes carefully wrapped the scarf around my neck, as if cherishing something immensely precious. A dull ache spread through my heart as I opened iMessage. At the top of the message list, I discovered he'd been reporting every prank detail to Sophia daily, entry after dense entry. "Told her I was working late today, but actually took you to Disney. She waited until 3 a.m. I deliberately told her the competition time was 2 hours later. Her sprinting in pajamas had me dying of laughter. The last message stopped on Alumni Day when Sophia accidentally knocked over scalding coffee. Ethan instinctively shielded me. Yet the chat records showed just touching her feels dirty. I washed my hands 3 times with antiseptic soap. I called my father, saying I wanted to relocate to Paris with him. He had been living in the place where they first fell in love since his mother passed away 5 years ago, spending the rest of his life with her in memory. As for me, I stayed here all for Ethan Hayes, turning down the chance to study in Europe, unable to reunite with my father throughout the year. I once thought spring would come after melting Ethan's icy heart, only to forget that when ice melts, all that remains is piercing cold. My moth-to-flame true love turned out to be nothing but a prank, and I was merely the clown he used to pursue his white moonlight. Hearing my words, Dad was overjoyed. "My precious daughter, you've finally come around." I held back my tears and gave a faint "Dad, when I leave, help stage a plane crash accident." Though he didn't understand, he agreed nonetheless. The plane crash would be my final gift to Ethan Hayes. The name Chloe Miller, I want him to regret it for the rest of his life. I deleted all the couple photos from my phone, and while packing my things at home, a leather-bound notebook slid out from Ethan Hayes' safe. Its dark green cover bore the phoenix emblem from the game Myth's downfall, the original logo I designed after 36 all-nighters. Ethan had it printed inside, containing all my design drafts from over the years that he'd meticulously collected, wishing my dreams would come true. On page 7, I suddenly froze. Next to a photo of me typing code wearing glasses, there was a sticky note. Today she yelled at that project manager like an angry puffed-up cat, but the revised proposal turned out 10 times stronger. How can there be such an adorably genius person? It turns out every time I pulled all-nighters drawing drafts, Ethan would stay with me, giving me massages and making midnight snacks. Just because of one casual remark from me, he'd run out at dawn to buy me cake, and during my period he'd always prepare herbal tea and a hot water bottle on schedule. He called it a love prank game, but clearly he's fallen deep into it too. The last page had last year's Valentine's Day flight ticket stub tucked in, his vigorous handwriting crawling across every blank space. If I had to choose again, I'd still pretend to lose the ticket, tricking her into staying overnight at the airport with me to revise the proposal, because this was promised to Sophia, the 70-second prank. Raindrops pattered against the bay window. All love is built on self-deception. Maybe he loved me, but what he loved more was Sophia. I was just a punching bag. With trembling hands, I pulled out my phone and scheduled an abortion. Late at night, I lay in bed, hearing Ethan Hayes return home with a chill in his movements, pretending not to notice. For a long moment, there was no sound, as if he had frozen mid-action. I couldn't help but wonder. This time, I hadn't played along with his prank's follow-up, surely embarrassing him in front of Sophia and his friends. Was he really going to let it slide so easily? The mattress sank behind me as a pair of strong arms wrapped around me. Ethan rested his head against my neck like a weary bird returning to its nest, his warm breath filled with joy. We're going to have a baby, Luna. Luna was his pet name for me, saying I was like the moon in the sky, shining only for him. But I knew that behind my back, he told Sophia and the others I was just pretending to be virtuous, that this nickname Luna was made up on the spot to amuse himself by tricking me, all just to watch me fall in love, to see the aloof goddess become a love-struck fool. I remained silent, still unaware that I had already decided not to keep this child. Ethan, oblivious to the turmoil, pulled out my prenatal checkup results and drew 3 tiny hearts on it with pen ink. It was the Mont Blanc pen I bought him with my first paycheck after starting work, the one he'd carried with him all these years. I offered no response. Ethan pulled me closer, whispering endless words of love, yet my heart remained frozen in the depths of winter, refusing to thaw. I'm tired, let's go to bed early. He obediently fell silent immediately, only murmuring, tomorrow we're going to Sophia's birthday party, before quickly drifting off to sleep. Yet I remained awake all night. Ethan Hayes plotted a scheme of amnesia, and I wasted 3 years of genuine affection. Now I'll stage a fake death performance to make him regret it for the rest of his life. At the birthday party, Ethan's friends surrounded me in the booth, pushing the largest slice of cake toward me. Chloe, Ethan says he loves watching you eat sweets most. Ethan averted his gaze, pretending not to notice. The moment the cake touched my tongue, a sudden bitterness rose in my throat, followed by waves of nausea. But Sophia pressed down on me, forcing the unfinished cake into my mouth. Chloe, today's my birthday. Don't ruin the mood, okay? I thought you found me disgusting. A sharp pain immediately twisted through my abdomen, unbearable in its intensity. Ethan's friends jeered and teased, turning my humiliation into their entertainment. After finishing a piece of cake, I immediately rushed to the bathroom and vomited violently, while laughter of satisfaction erupted from the booth. Their prank had succeeded. Has your gastritis not improved yet? Ethan handed me a glass of lukewarm water with mint leaves, a folk remedy he taught me when we first met to stop nausea. I couldn't respond to his fakery, as the sharp abdominal pain was unbearable, dense, and stabbing like needles. I looked down. Blood was trickling down from between my legs, a horrifying sight. I gripped Ethan's arm tightly. Take me to the hospital. Sophia blocked the doorway, giggling as she said, it's just irregular menstruation, very common for girls. Don't make a fuss, Ethan. Move aside. Ethan snapped. This was the first time he had openly contradicted Sophia. When I regained consciousness, I overheard Sophia outside the examination room whining to Ethan's friends. Did you guys overdose her? Wasn't the plan just to humiliate her publicly? My friend chuckled. Getting rid of a burden counts as a merit. Ethan should be thanking me instead. Yeah, it's been 3 years already. What if they have a kid and Ethan can't easily ditch Chloe then? Ethan Hayes remained silent for a long time before finally speaking. Pranks are pranks, but don't lay a finger on her. Sophia paused in astonishment, then demanded angrily, who was it that said, let this bookworm taste the bitterness of falling from the clouds, to vent my anger? Wasn't it your idea to humiliate Chloe Miller in public as my birthday present? Or have you fallen for her? The next second, Ethan denied it like avoiding the plague. How could that be? I definitely love you. Outside the door, laughter and cheerful voices immediately rose again, celebrating the conclusion of the 98th prank while planning how to execute the 99th. I touched my flat belly, feeling a dull ache. Both me and the child were just part of their game, merely a birthday present arranged for Sophia. I wiped away my tears and cancelled the abortion appointment with trembling fingers. There was no need for me to make any decision. The baby's father had already pronounced her death sentence. Just as I was about to contact my father, Ethan walked in. I shut my eyes tight and pretended to be asleep. All I heard was his hoarse, guilt-laden voice whispering, "Chloe, I'm sorry." The reason went without saying. After I recovered and was discharged from the hospital, Ethan told me his friends and Sophia wanted to apologize to me and suggested we go hiking together at Eagle Crown Trail. The scenery from the mountaintop viewing platform was beautiful, perfect for praying for our deceased child. I know this might just be another prank, but thoughts of the child inevitably stir up a bitter ache in my heart. After this, I'll be leaving for France. Consider it my final farewell to our child. All along the way, they clustered around Sophia, laughing and fawning over her, oblivious to my presence. Passing by a memorial site, Ethan found a smooth stone, and together we used a marker to write down our longing for the child. Sophia smiled gently nearby. "Chloe, you really are a good mother." I ignored her hypocrisy. By the guardrail of the observation deck, I was about to place the stone on a high pile of rocks. I leaned out halfway when suddenly someone forcefully pushed me from behind. I fell forward without any warning, tumbling down the steep hillside. Intense pain rushed through me, reaching every fiber of my being. My leg was severely injured, almost immobile, and I immediately passed out. Half conscious, I felt Ethan pick me up, his eyes bloodshot. "Luna, don't be afraid. I'm taking you to the hospital." "Why?" I murmured, tears blurring my vision. "Why would you do this to me?" The wound was external, yet my heart felt shattered into pieces. Ethan's eyes were filled with guilt and terror, his voice trembling. "I didn't know they would do this. I truly didn't know." Then my consciousness blurred, and everything went dark. When I woke up again, my right leg was already encased in thick plaster. The doctor said my leg might suffer permanent damage. Lying in bed, silent tears slipped down my face. Ethan Hayes sat by the bed, his face haggard with concealed pain, his eyes filled with guilt and aching tenderness. He drew a tiny moon on the cast and said softly, "Luna, I'll stay by your side until you recover." I closed my eyes, and Ethan tucks the blanket tightly around me, moving gently so as not to disturb me. He busies himself back and forth, gathering everything I'll need for the hospital stay. After several trips and nearly an hour of bustling about, he finally settles down, looking every bit the most devoted and dutiful boyfriend. Yet ironically, he is also the very one who brought me to this point. I pretend to be asleep, but my heart pounds wildly, voicing its anguish. Ethan stays awake all night, keeping vigil beside my bed. He would occasionally kiss the little moon drawn on the cast, tears streaming down as he clutched my hand tightly, as if I would vanish the moment he let go. "I'm sorry, Luna. This is all my fault. I shouldn't have listened to them, shouldn't have hurt you. But I still have this chance. I'll never hurt you again. You're my life, Luna. I almost lost you. I'm so sorry," he murmured in a choked voice, gazing at me all night long. I knew his pain was because I got hurt. Last time, he even warned Sophia and the others face to face, "This is just a prank, no touching my body." My heart softened slightly, though I also felt ridiculous. Ethan's principal has always been Sophia. This was the 99th prank. I'm still the plaything meant to amuse her, while Ethan silently approved yet again. But who dares to say that the 100th time, he won't continue to be an accomplice in hurting me? The next day, while Ethan went out to buy breakfast, I called my dad and asked his bodyguards to pick me up, preparing for the plane crash plan. While I was waiting, Sophia showed up instead, smiling like a triumphant winner, radiant with delight. "Chloe Miller, making you break your leg was one of my schemes. This is the 99th prank." I suppressed my anger, glaring at her disdainfully. Sophia looked me up and down before smoothing her designer shawl. "For the 100th time in the Innovation Game Awards, you'll be accused of plagiarism. Ethan has sent me all the development files for your game Fallen Myth. He's already bribed the judging panel. Your submission will always be timestamped exactly 3 minutes after mine. Enjoy being branded a disgrace." The Innovation Game Awards is the most prestigious game design competition in America. I'd spent 2 years preparing for it, and the game files for Fallen Myth were still on my computer. I was consumed by rage and slapped her across the face, stealing my things, eyeing my boyfriend. "Sophia, you'll forever be trapped in the gutter of secondhand goods. Have you no shame?" Sophia's willow leaf eyebrows shot up as she twisted my wrist, raising her hand to strike back. "Right now, it's you who's indulging in secondhand goods." But the blow never landed. "Sophia, what the hell?" Ethan had returned, flanked by bodyguards Dad had summoned. For once, he lost his temper at Sophia. Meanwhile, she, misinterpreting this as part of his final romantic prank, forcing him to maintain our relationship, and burdened by guilt, departed in sullen silence without another word. Before Ethan could explain, the bodyguard pushed forward a wheelchair to take me away. He sensed something was wrong, gripped the wheelchair, and asked anxiously, "Luna, what are you going to do?" I I lowered my head. I'm going to France for treatment. Dad is too worried about me. Ethan was unwilling, saying he didn't feel at ease about me, but he was the one responsible for my leg injury. I insisted that Dad wanted to see me soon, so he had no choice but to agree. Then, as if he couldn't wait another moment, he immediately booked a flight for tomorrow right in front of me, saying he'd come find me, and asked for my flight number. I paused for a second and told him it was UA 5882. He was about to offer to see me off when his phone suddenly rang. It was his friend Mark. Ethan, come quick. Sophia fell down the stairs. Ethan didn't even offer an explanation about Sophia, about farewell, before bolting out the door. I gave a bitter chuckle and said to the bodyguard, let's go. At the airport, Miss, the flight route has been arranged. Your father says he'll stage the most perfect airplane accident. The electronic screen at the boarding gate flickered with the code AA1621. I nodded and boarded the flight to France at 12:24. Ethan said it was the day we first met. Whether true or false, I chose this moment to make sure he would remember me forever. Remember that I died in his twisted game, so he would regret it for the rest of his life, left with nothing but endless remorse. 1 second before the plane crashed, I sent Ethan Hayes one last text. Ethan Hayes, your 100th prank. I'll risk my life playing along with you. The phone was instantly bombarded with endless calls and messages. UA 5882 crash completed. Finally, I glanced at my phone, where Sophia's private Instagram account popped up in my notifications. Ethan says he'll play a compilation of pranks on a clown at our wedding. Some people's mascara-smudged faces would make the perfect opening scene. The photo shows Ethan safe at the mountaintop apartment, neatly stocked with 99 voice recorders. Seeing countless incoming calls from Ethan Hayes, I smiled and pulled out the SIM card. He still doesn't know about the plane crash, only that I've discovered his prank game. Doubt, anger, panic, or unease, bewilderment? None of it matters now. Dad said making a private plane vanish from radar is like wiping fingerprints off a document, told me not to worry at all. And just like that, I'll disappear completely from Ethan Hayes' life. When Ethan Hayes heard about the plane crash, he rushed to the wreckage without a second thought. He clawed through smoking metal debris with his bare hands, his custom-tailored suit torn to shreds by twisted steel. Firefighters tried to stop the madman, but the crazed look in his bloodshot eyes sent them stumbling back. My fiancée is in there. She was wearing the moon necklace I gave her today. At that moment, a tall stranger approached and, before he could clearly see who it was, punched him hard with a bang. Ethan was beaten to the ground, making no move to fight back, focusing only on continuing to search through the wreckage, desperate to see a familiar face. Miss Miller's ashes shall be returned to Paris to be buried with her mother. You failed her, and nothing can wash away your sins. It's my father's assistant. With legs giving way, Ethan Hayes knelt directly on the rubble-strewn ground. At that moment, he caught sight of a ring and picked it up with trembling hands, the very design we had chosen together in the jewelry store. Yet inside was engraved, 100 pranks, bet you love me. I had those words carved later. Ethan Hayes stood thunderstruck, his entire body shaking. Only then did he realize I had known all along, and that he, not only repeatedly hurt me, but also silently allowed Sophia and all his friends to trample and humiliate me. In this prank-fueled romance, Ethan developed feelings for me, yet he deceived himself, pretending he still loved Sophia. Unwilling to lose face before Sophia and their friends, he dared not admit it. After all, in his mind, the 100th prank was imminent, and I remained completely unaware. He could have easily ignored these emotions, continuing to play the dutiful boyfriend to me who loved him unconditionally and irreplaceably. But he never expected I'd discover the truth, nor that I'd been playing along with his charade all along. At this moment, Ethan Hayes' heart finally resonated with mine. We had been lovers for 3 years. He habitually stood to my left, so close to my heart, so intimate, yet always separated by galaxies, lukewarm and distant. Now at last he felt the pain I had endured. Career ruined, graduation delayed, leg injury, miscarriage, competition lost, lover's betrayal. But every time the choice was his to make, none of that could stand against a single word from Sophia. Ethan knelt in the wreckage of the plane, utterly devastated, crying so violently he nearly collapsed from exhaustion until kind-hearted staff discovered him and rushed him to the hospital. Seeing Ethan's hollow, zombie-like state, Sophia frowned with disapproval. Exactly 100 pranks, let's make it official, Ethan. Ethan Hayes remained motionless. Submitting designs from the dead, she taunted, twirling the flash drive with a smug chuckle. Ethan, wouldn't you love to present the award? Ethan's expression froze, cold as ice, as he suddenly rushed forward and slapped her hard, then grabbed her neck and slammed her against the floor-to-ceiling window. I won't be with you. If you dare touch her things, I'll make sure you spend your 25th birthday in prison. Sophia, this won't end until one of us is dead. Sophia covered her face, furious. Are you insane? She's dead. Why are you so worked up over her? Don't forget, It was to defend me that you messed with her in the first place. Ethan's friends chimed in, yeah, she's finally gone. Now you're free of her for good. Just a shame we missed out on the last chance to see her make a fool of herself. Ha ha ha. I was even thinking of hiring someone to splash paint on her during the design competition. Ethan roared loudly, shut up. If it weren't for your stupid prank games, Chloe wouldn't have died. The friends exchanged glances, then burst into roars of laughter. It was your own idea to prank her. You're the one who got her killed. You're the murderer, okay? Stop pretending to care. Wasn't it you who put laxatives in her tea, making her miss her thesis defense? Before he could finish speaking, Ethan knocked him to the ground, and several people started brawling. In the end, exhausted and covered in wounds, Ethan was sent to the emergency room. As for the final news about Ethan Hayes, it was my father's assistant who brought it to me. He fell out with everyone, frequently harmed himself, muttered apologies to his fiancée, and became a regular visitor to the psychiatric clinic. He even erected a tombstone for me at Westwood Memorial Park, often lingering there for hours, with the game logo we designed together carved over his heart. Everyone in Silicon Valley knows Ethan Hayes harbors an unforgettable white moonlight who died in a plane crash. I scoffed and continued receiving the most advanced leg injury treatment in France. 2 years later, I established a game studio in France and completed the production of Myths Fall, the fantasy RPG I had independently designed earlier. I submitted it to the International Game Design Awards under the name Anna Miller. Thanks to its unique world-building based on forgotten myths and an innovative character progression system, the game's style resonated deeply with players. Its undeniable quality earned it the gold medal, stirring massive excitement across the US. Marking the first time an indie-American game designer had won gold in the competition, the game's publishing rights auction soared to record-breaking bids, quickly climbing into the millions. Daily, the studio was flooded with countless partnership offers. The auction will take place in 3 days. Dad asked me, aren't you afraid Ethan Hayes will come knocking with all this fanfare? Rumor has it he's become known in Silicon Valley as the madman mourning his late wife. No one dares mention Chloe Miller's name in his presence. I shrugged and replied with a smile, 2 years have passed. He's the one trapped in the shadows, not me. I don't fear anyone now. Dad glanced at my legs that could now walk normally and nodded. If that scumbag Ethan Hayes dares hurt you, I'll finish him off. Myths Fall was a manuscript I drew stroke by stroke right in front of him. He knew nearly every design intimately, so now that it's won the gold medal in an international competition, there's no way he hasn't heard the news and grown suspicious. Yet he never imagined that plane crash was staged as a mock death. But once there was a lead, the investigation became much easier. On the very next day after the international gaming competition announced its gold medal winner, Ethan Hayes showed up at the door of my studio. He was shockingly thin, his suit hanging hollow from his shoulders, the phoenix tattoo at his collarbone stretching its wings beyond the collar. Around his neck dangled the very ring I'd left on that doomed plane, suspended from a chain. His brows and eyes had darkened profoundly from prolonged melancholy, wrapped in an air of brooding menace and inorganic indifference. The moment he saw me, Ethan's gaze instantly softened and became focused. Luna, he spoke softly, his voice slightly hoarse. Congratulations on winning the gold medal in the international competition. Hearing this former pet name, I only felt sick. Ethan then proudly lifted the dark green notebook in his hands, forcing a stiff smile as he said, "Congratulations, your dream has come true." He wanted to use this notebook filled with our memories to keep me, but I'd already discovered Sophia's prank instructions inside. I couldn't deceive myself into believing this was solely a record of our love. My expression remained impassive as I calmly said, "Mr. Hayes came personally to offer congratulations? Pity someone who's died once can't accept blessings from the living." Yet Ethan ignored the barb in my words. As if confirming I was still flesh and blood before him, his composure shattered uncontrollably, tears spilled instantly, his voice trembling. "You're alive. That's truly wonderful. I thought I'd lost you forever." He then produced my mother's memorial rocket-shaped bracelet, the same one he'd once thrown away as a prank, and later gifted to Sophia. "Luna, I'm returning this to you. I was wrong. For these past 2 years, I've lived every day in agony and self-reproach. I hate myself for all the pain I caused you. Can you possibly?" The cuff of his sleeve slipped down, revealing countless horrifying scars, all knife wounds. My heart stung for a moment, but I couldn't be bothered with his feigned remorse. All I wanted was to reclaim my mother's keepsake. "No," I cut him off coldly. "The Chloe who loved you died in that plane crash 2 years ago. 100 pranks, a miscarriage, a leg injury. Do you have any idea how many surgeries it took for me to walk again? Ethan Hayes, why don't you just go die?" I lifted my skirt, exposing the cold metal joints of the orthopedic brace on my leg. The surgical scars wrapped around my atrophied muscles, unsightly and ugly. "You did this to me." Ethan stood frozen, shocked, his eyes burning red as heartache flowed into them, completely unconcealed. I once longed desperately for him to show just a little more determination, a little more love in his cruel games, but it never came. Ethan gripped my hand, then sank to his knees before me at those words, begging like a wretched stray. I know I deserve to die, but since heaven has brought us back together, it means our fate isn't severed. I beg you, give me one more chance, Chloe, Luna. As he spoke, he tried to cling to my legs, making my whole body tremble with disgust. Let go of me. Ethan, you lunatic. Who the hell are you? Get lost. A tall man rushed over and kicked Ethan. Due to long-term mental instability, Ethan immediately lost strength and collapsed sideways, allowing me to swiftly retrieve my bracelet. Eris stood in front of me, concernedly asking if I was hurt, and I shook my head. He was a game designer from the studio, from Germany, whom I had hired at a high salary. Meanwhile, Ethan's face was twisted in bitterness, crawling toward me with the despair of someone abandoned and forsaken. Who is he? Have you fallen for him? Chloe, you can't do this to me. I really can't live without you. How can I make you forgive me? Eris kicked him forcefully again. You posed a threat to our boss's safety. I'm calling the police. Ethan lay motionless, coughing painfully, his face covered in dust and tear streaks, utterly wretched. I said coldly, whoever it is has nothing to do with you. Forgive you? Not unless you die. Leaning on Eris for support, I walked back to the studio. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw the haze of pain, neglect, and indifference in Ethan's gaze. Just like me 2 years ago. The next day, while preparing for the Myths Fall game auction, I suddenly received a call from a Parisian hospital. Ethan Hayes had slashed his own calf. When the emergency team arrived, he was lying in a pool of blood, smiling broadly and murmuring, "This way Chloe will forgive me." The hospital staff said Ethan only requested contact with me. He refused treatment unless I came. His wound still bled profusely, streaming down endlessly. Yet I couldn't forgive so easily. This would be a betrayal of my deceived self from 2 years ago, of the 100 pranks suffered. I politely declined the staff's offer. I've never met this Mr. Hayes before. If he truly refuses treatment, you might consider contacting a funeral home for him. Ethan's trembling voice immediately came through the phone. Luna, my legs hurt so much. I feel like I'm dying. I beg you, can you just come see me? Even just one glance would be enough. You used to care about me so much. A surge of nausea rose in my stomach, and I hung up directly. The old Chloe would have dropped everything and rushed over at the slightest mention of Ethan. But every time I arrived, the scene would either be completely empty or filled with Sophia and their mockery. Chloe, why are you like Ethan's dog? The moment he gestures, you come running? Chloe, you're truly pathetic. It's disgraceful how far you've fallen for love, throwing yourself at him. I really look down on you. I gathered my emotions, emerging from the darkness of the past, and continued preparing for the next day's auction of Myths Fall. This time, I was determined to win. On the early morning before the game auction, Sophia posted a pile of manuscript materials and programming code on her Twitter, including the preliminary framework of the game's operation, with the computer's timestamp showing it was from 2 years ago. She used this as evidence to accuse me of plagiarizing her original game. Sophia orchestrated 99 prank games back then, only to be dumped by Ethan in the end. For the past 2 years, Ethan had been targeting her family business, making her life miserable. And now, the main culprit like me had come back from the dead. She must be gritting her teeth in fury. I recognized it at a glance. Those were the game development files Ethan had stolen from my computer and given to Sophia back then. On the day I faked my death, Sophia had proudly boasted to me that this would be the Gold Award-winning work of the Innovative Game Award. And with Ethan's cover-up, she would win the prize, while I would become the plagiarist who submitted 3 minutes later than her. Later, I couldn't participate in the Innovative Game Awards due to my recovery from injuries, while Sophia, under Ethan's threats, dared not attend either. Only I never expected that 2 years later, she would come at me with all the pain and bitterness as if burning her bridges behind her. The tweet immediately shot to the top of the trending list, causing an uproar across the internet in an instant. I, an international gold medalist, became the villain who plagiarized an unknown designer. Splashed with this pot of dirty water, insults about me flooded every corner of the internet. What I thought was glory now deemed stolen. The auction was scheduled for the next day, and this scandal would undoubtedly affect both the game's price and reputation. At that moment, the official website showed our game's auction price had already dropped to half of its original value. More netizens complained to the competition officials, demanding that the gold award be revoked because a plagiarist like me didn't deserve it. My assistant anxiously held up a tablet, saying, "We still have time to cancel the auction." I rubbed my still aching right leg, fully recovered yet throbbing faintly, and gazed at the dawn over Paris outside the window. Retrieve the source files backed up in the cloud 2 years ago. Proving my case isn't difficult, but searching through the vast sea of manuscripts and source files, then compiling explanations. Who knows how much time it would take or what losses it might cause. Perhaps even pulling an all-nighter wouldn't be enough to resolve this. My fall of mythology might have to be disqualified from the auction. Just as I was steeling myself against the pounding headache and preparing to tackle the task, the conference room door burst open. "Boss, check the live stream. It's Ethan Hayes." I opened my laptop to see him lying in a hospital bed, clad in a patient gown, emaciated and deathly pale. An intravenous tube was inserted into the back of his hand, electrocardiogram electrode patches adhered to his chest, and the collar of his hospital gown faintly revealed an unhealed knife wound, fresh evidence of his latest self-inflicted injury. These are Anna Miller's design manuscripts from 2019 to 2021. He lifted a thick stack of yellowed papers. At 2 a.m. on November 3, 2019, Anna messaged me from the library saying the Phoenix's eyes must hold the tears of rebirth. Ethan switched on a voice recorder. My voice flowed out, mingling with the buzzing of a coffee machine. "Ethan, the prototype for Chapter 3's maze references the Egyptian pyramids. Boss, check Twitter." Hearing this, I opened Twitter to find Ethan had posted several videos showcasing extensive handwritten notes, design documents, programming records, and even Git version logs of all my design drafts with timestamps precise to the millisecond. All the evidence pointed to one undeniable fact: Myth's Fall was entirely my original creation, not Sophia's. Having participated in part of this game's development, I can confirm every creative element came from Anna. Regarding Sophia's actions, I will seriously consider taking legal action to protect Anna's legitimate rights. Public opinion reversed like a rebound from rock bottom. Sophia thought she could crush me this time, but never anticipated Ethan would stand up as my witness, forcing her to delete her posts and apologize. Her family business also suffered collateral damage from the scandal, with partners severing contracts one after another. The internet is filled with denunciations and malicious accusations against her. At the end of the livestream, Ethan's frosty face cracked into a smile. "I hope everyone will pay attention to Miss Anna Miller's auction for her game Myth's Fall tomorrow. Anna, I hope I can make up for just a little bit." Listening to the words coming through the static, I fell silent for a moment, my thoughts complex. The official website showed the game auction prices rebounding rapidly, even surpassing previous levels. At the auction, Ethan appeared in a wheelchair, being pushed forward just like when I first arrived in France. A colleague joked, "Don't tell me Ethan Hayes is also here to bid on the boss's Myth's Fall?" Many participated in the bidding, with prices soaring continuously until most had to drop out for lack of higher offers. In the final showdown, only Ethan and a Russian client remained. $10.1 million, $11 million. Eris rubbed his face in amazement, and we're not even a buy-to-play game. There's endless future revenue. My dream is really coming true. But that ex-fiancé of yours is relentless. Could it be he's trying to win you back? I pretended not to hear, treating it as mere entertainment. In the end, Myth's Fall was purchased by Ethan Hayes for $12 million, a bid that nearly equaled the sum of the previous 10 games combined. After the deal was confirmed, Ethan approached me. Having worked non-stop for days since his leg injury, his face was pale, his features still shadowed with gloom. "I'll buy this game as a gift for you. I've always recognized your talent. It will shine brightly someday. I could shift my work focus to France. Would you?" Ethan pursed his lips as if nervous. I smiled politely and said, "Thank you for your appreciation, Mr. Hayes. Beyond work, I'm uninterested in anything else. I'll just consider this a lucrative deal. Goodbye." Ethan's eyelashes fluttered rapidly, his bloodless lips parting in a cough that shattered all lingering hope. Without hesitation, I turned and walked away. At the press conference during my interview with journalists, someone asked curiously, "Miss Anna, Mr. Ethan Hayes from America spent $12 million to acquire Fallen Myth. When you were caught up in the plagiarism controversy, he also presented your design sketches as evidence. May we ask if there's any special relationship between you two? Are you friends or lovers?" I hesitated for a few seconds before responding frankly, "We were friends during my time in America, where we discussed the production of the game Fallen Myth. But all good things must come to an end." As the press conference concluded, Ethan approached me with difficulty, leaning on his cane while being assisted by his assistant. I was discussing the next game design with my colleagues, not intending to pay him any attention, when suddenly the roar of an engine erupted behind me. The moment I turned my head, an unmarked van was speeding toward us. Behind the wheel sat Sophia, her hair disheveled, her features gaunt, her face expressionless, but her eyes burned with pure hatred. "Chloe, look out." Ethan shoved his assistant aside and pushed me with all his strength. His own legs gave way, sending him crumpling to the ground, just as the speeding truck slammed into him, hurling his body through the air. Bang! I rushed over immediately, only to find Ethan already drenched in blood, his body battered beyond recognition. "How are you holding up, Ethan?" Luna managed to force a smile. For the first time since their reunion, his hand found hers, trembling as blood trickled from his lips. With labored breathing, he uttered, "Luna, I love you. In our next life, I'll love you, truly, purely." His grip slackened as the words faded into silence. Sophia was sentenced to life imprisonment for intentional homicide, while Ethan's family took his remains back to the United States for burial. During the 100th airplane crash prank, Chloe Miller, who had been entangled with Ethan Hayes, vanished without a trace. In her place survived Anna, who lived solely for herself, her family, and her ideals. I chose to stay in France to continue working on my next game design. Yet another international game design competition came around. I submitted my new creation and became the first game designer to win consecutive gold medals. But the fresh spring breeze of rebirth was just beginning to blow. End.